called there. 120-110, the final score as the Rockets win it. And the question being, can anybody come playoff time figure out how to interrupt this small ball experiment that the Rockets now have gone all in on?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be interesting when the game slows down in the playoffs. You know, tonight they make 23s. I think that's what they made at least. You know, you make 23s, Russ and James Harden, you know, they combine for 72 points.
Yeah.
It's a great game. But in the playoffs, it's going to, you know, it's hard to do it every single night against size on the interior.
Yeah, they went 20 for 48.
Here's the positive. P.J. Tucker and DeMarre Carroll and also Jeff Green in college played the 4 and 5 position. They transitioned to the NBA to the wing. And the Rockets are saying we're willing to give up offensive rebounds, points in the paint for our three-point attempts, which we know we will make more threes than you would make twos. So that gives us the advantage, and it shows it's working.
They're 9-0 now this season when they make at least 20 three-pointers. That, of course, makes a lot of sense. But you mentioned Jeff Green and DeMarre Carroll, both of those guys having made their debuts Thursday night on TNT. But guys that are pretty impressed were in as good of shape as each of them are and fit so seamlessly with the way that the Rockets are playing.
They got high character professional guys, and Jeff Green goes back with Russell Westbrook to OKC days. Remember in OKC, he was the 4, and he had a phenomenal run with them until they eventually kind of moved him away and brought in Serge Ibaka and tried to go big to beat the Lakers. That was a unique transition, but he's back with his guy, Russell Westbrook, and you're going to see him play at a higher level.
You know, it's fascinating because you would have thought Houston would have waited on the Jeff Green and DeMarre Carroll signings for exactly a player like potentially Markieff Morris, right? Like at least one big guy, but no, they've gone all in on small, and you got to respect them to say, listen, this is our style of play. We have a clear identity, and this is what we're going to do, and tonight it worked.
Well, thus far, it seems to be working because instead of other teams taking advantage inside where they're lacking a big, it seems like the Rockets are playing at a pace that requires other teams to play their game instead.
Yeah, no, I'm still fascinated in this. Like, how's it going to go against the real size of the Lakers? You know, tonight was not a good night for Utah. You know, they struggled last night against San Antonio. Some of this might just be a little bit of playoff rust because Utah was playing well going into the playoffs, or I'm sorry, going into the All-Star break. And then Jokic, you know, Denver. Like, how is this going to work against really those are the 3 teams?
Anytime you got Russell Westbrook and James Harden in the backcourt, you have dominant closers. And I think you place in Utah. The thing about Utah is Utah doesn't get easy baskets. So this was a good game for the Rockets. They can go and they can play, they can shoot, they can play loose because Utah is not going to beat you in transition. But you talk about the Lakers, LeBron will play in transition, so that's going to be unique. And whether it works or fails, I'm gonna have my popcorn ready because I want to see how many shots they get up, who Russ is going to get into it with in the stands and on the other team. It's always going to be phenomenal entertainment.
The best. Are you surprised that Russ and James have worked as well together now in Houston? Of course, we've seen them play together before, but now in Houston as these superstar talents, these MVP holding, you know, kind of like there was so much conversation surrounding whose style of play the team would have to lean into, and it's working well.
They've been friends since high school. They play together in the Pangos All-American Camp. They play together every summer at UCLA.
They're on the cover of GQ.
So they also do photo shoots together. But they have synergy, they have continuity, and that Los Angeles area of basketball, those guys stick together, and it's phenomenal when they get on the same team because you have to cheer for them and just watch them play. It's like playing in the Drew League. Like they just go at it and just hoop.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised. Initially, I was a little perplexed, you know, because the fit, you just didn't see it. But Russell's helped him play faster. You know, James has gotten off the ball. They moved Capella to open the floor up. I mean, they've really made moves for these 2 guys. They score 72 tonight. They're going to be really good. And I don't know that we're talking enough. This was a tiebreaker game. It was 1-1 Houston-Utah. Houston, Utah going into tonight. They only play 3 times this year. Houston wins the tiebreaker. That's a big deal. Potential home court advantage.
And now sitting in 4th, I mean, this a huge moment for playoff seeding in the Western Conference, especially heading into that first round where, you know, home court advantage could make the difference.
This is why the second half of the year, even though it's not the second half, but now all of a sudden every game has another layer of complexity to it, and this was a big win for this Rockets team potentially, like you're talking, home court implications.
It gets real. And if you look at the Rockets, you go up, you see the Lakers, you see the Clippers. You think Russ and James aren't talking about how we are truly the players from Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Because Kawhi is from the IE. You got Paul George, he's from the IE.
Yep.
Russ and James are truly from LA. So they want to kind of make a statement. And even though LeBron is a Laker, they're like, we grew up here, this is our home turf.
Do you see the Rockets as the most formidable foe for, if we're just considering the Lakers, not even the Clippers?
I think it's going to be dynamic. You never know, health going down the stretch. Can James have a strong playoff push, which he doesn't have late in playoff series? What is that going to be like? And also on the glass, Anthony Davis, can he dominate a PJ Tucker who has had success defending him over his career?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm never going to bet against Kawhi right now and Paul George, what the Clippers have. And I'm not going to bet against LeBron James.
Ever.
So, ever. Yeah, so I'm going to say, well, maybe in like 10 years when he's like
if he's
finally
still
aged.
Playing in 10 years, maybe. I don't even think then.
I know, he may not.
I'd be like, no,
he's so incredible.
Let's wait and see.
But so give it time, right? Like those two teams are clearly ahead. Tonight, though, because the playoffs, one of the things with James has been the refs don't call as many fouls. So he doesn't get to the foul line. He doesn't score as easily. That puts more pressure on the three-point line. And we know they're playing a faster pace this year. Typically, the game slows down in the postseason. But tonight bodes well. I mean, they only go 10 of 14 from the foul line and win the game.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Right.
You know, winning a game like this, 23s helps, of course.
The Rockets beat the Jazz. Yes, right. Yep, 23s does help that kind of thing usually. But now they're also seeded 4th in the Western Conference playoff picture as the Jazz drop down to 5th. It's a 7-game Saturday in the NBA. We've got. Then what are you reviewing?
I don't know.
Just,
oh, man.
Questions I think the people are asking.
That's a big play, but the bigger issue for the Dallas Mavericks in this game is losing the fourth quarter 34-21. So we always focus on these big plays late in games, but Dallas had opportunities to win the game.
111-107, the final score as the Hawks win. But, of course, we do want to hear from Coach Carlisle on that final play.
Not quite sure what happened on the call. Goaltending was called, the whistle blew, players stopped. And then the basket was good after the whistle had blown, which is hard to fathom.
What explanation were you given out on the court? What did the referees tell you?
Not a sufficient one. Just a very disappointing way to end a game where our guys fought their butts off from start to finish. It was a good block. I should have. My understanding is if it's a good block on a goaltend that's called and reversed, if there's no control or the other team gets it, it's a jump ball. So I don't know. It's baffling, disappointing.
Coach Carlisle pointing out that he was not given a sufficient explanation for that play. I think we're probably all waiting on that as well. But let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks as a whole, because this is still a team that's competing for playoff position. That, of course, is going to make this loss a much more disappointing one. Even if it doesn't come down to that play, it's still a 13-point lead blown in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's big. Luka and Porzingis didn't play, but at the same time, you have to understand that's a chance for the second unit to grow and for to close this game on the road, which they should have won. To Coach Carlisle's credit, he's right. It should have just been jump ball, have a chance to win, and teams make runs. So you can't be upset that you blew the lead, but you want to see if your team can come back and get back in the game and at least get into overtime.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is a tough loss for Dallas with a chance to win because they had played really well early. They really struggled in this second half tonight. But we got to give credit to the Atlanta Hawks. This is a really nice win for Atlanta. It's always hard to play against a team where you're expecting to go up against Porzingis or Luka, and then all of a sudden they don't play. It has like a deflating effect in the locker room oftentimes, and that's a really challenging game. And going back to January 14th, these Hawks are 9-9. So they've made a lot of progress. Defense is still struggling. A lot of that progress has been on the offensive side of the ball. A really good win, comeback win for the Hawks tonight.
Yeah, they've won 6 of their last 7 at home, so they're certainly finding something. As we were talking about earlier, Earl, in a losing season, you have to find something to look ahead to, some hope to hold on to, and it seems like these young Hawks are starting to find that.
Yeah, every young team is post All-Star break. You're going to really see who you really are. You have the character on the team of players that's going to be there next year and what you need to add. You kind of seen Utah Jazz do that with Quinn Snyder when they had Gordon Hayward. They made a big jump after the All-Star break, and they carried over into the next season, and they end up becoming a playoff team.
Yeah, I think you get rid of those 55 games, right? The pressure of, oh man, we're 20 games under 500, we're 25 games under 500. You're right. It's kind of a fresh start, look towards the future, got to improve, opportunity to play without pressure, right? Playoffs are out of the picture. It is an easier time to take a breath, look forward, and the Hawks have done a nice job.
But the record, this is interesting now, because now we're talking basketball, right? We're talking basketball, we're talking front office. Some front offices will shut down players, so that record really doesn't matter because, you want the draft pick. So you never know which team you're going to get. I was lucky to have Jerry West and Hubie Brown. It was like, we're going to win, and we're going to be here. We don't give a about a draft pick.
Yes.
And he put us on spot to be accountable.
Trey, though, coming off of a 50-point game just a couple of days ago, are you pleased with what you've seen from what they're building around him?
Yeah, no, this Hawks team, I think the expectation, because the team played well the second half of the year, got a little ahead of themselves.
Yeah.
When you're that young, they got younger this year, to start the year at least, and with the exception of Vince, right? But that team...
But I don't know, I think he's actually getting younger also, so it's fair. Your point stands.
True, very true. But, you know, when you're this young across the board as the Hawks were, you're not going to win games in the NBA unless you're like exceptionally, you're the exception at the highest level. And then you throw in the suspension, the unexpected suspension of John Collins for 25 games, and I mean, you're rocked. This team made a number of nice moves at the trade deadline. Capella we haven't seen yet because of the foot, but Dedmon's going to be a nice piece for them going into the future. They had a ton of cap room. We know it's not a great free agent year. They decided to basically spend their cap room in trade a couple weeks ago. They've done a nice job. They just need time. Patience is one of the hardest things. They've done a good job. That group just needs time to come together. There
is a welcome to Atlanta Clint Capella billboard right over my exit. So I know the city's at least excited to have him. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the team as well. Let's go back and check on Giannis and the Bucks, because this game now in the fourth quarter with 2.5 minutes to go, 113-91. The All-Star Chris Middleton with 25 points in 31 minutes in this one. He's grabbed 9 rebounds as well.